As you head north out of Mariposa on Highway 140 toward Yosemite National Park in late March, the first signs of spring begin to appear along the Merced River. For most of the year, the hills along this highway are dead and brown, but as March turns into early April during a wet year, the hills can begin to turn green and redbuds will begin to blossom.
Nobody's at the station. Oh, it's 5 o'clock. It didn't even occur to me that they closed at 5. Maybe they closed at 4. Here's the falls. Yeah, they're going pretty strong. See how brown everything is.
Late March and early April can be a challenging time to shoot in Yosemite Valley. Personally, I generally tend to avoid shooting during March and early April unless snow is in the forecast.
And all these trees are brown, fields are brown, the falls are going.
Without a blanket of snow, the oaks, aspens, and dogwoods are bare, and the meadows are dead and brown, and generally those are not the best conditions for landscape photography. But if snow is in the forecast and you head to the park in late March or early April, 15 minutes can make the difference between late winter and early spring. Although it doesn't happen frequently, snowstorms can reach the valley floor well into the month of March and sometimes into April. But as quickly as spring storms can transform the valley into an Ansel Adams winter postcard, the snow can disappear just as fast. Within minutes of the sun coming out from behind the clouds, the valley begins to thaw, the falls begin to roar, and the blossoms eventually begin to appear throughout the park.
Balls of green. With the rain coming down in April, it'll look like this for a while. There's the valley. Got a few clouds around.
As April turns into May, several changes take place throughout the valley. The snow might be visible in the upper elevations, but the valley is generally snow-free by then, as thunderstorms will occasionally blow through. By this point, the sun is getting much further to the north, and the late afternoon light spills across the valley as the angle of the sun finds a gap in the canyon walls to the west. Depending on the year, most of the valley is already green by the end of April, but the oaks might be a bit late. Be that as it may, late April and early May are the best time to shoot the flowering trees which are scattered throughout the Yosemite Valley floor. From the dogwoods at the Pohono Bridge as you first cross into the valley, to the Ahwahnee and beyond, almost every flowering tree is going gangbusters by early May. Lastly, whenever it rains or snows in Yosemite Valley in April or May, the storm is almost always followed by mist. And mist on the valley floor can be absolutely magical.
Ribbon Falls is huge. It's like Bridal Veil. Wow. I gotta do something with that. Wow. Look at the river. Holy smokes. Man, that is something. Right up against the road.
If you choose to visit the park as spring comes to an end in late May or early June, you should be aware that there are some pros and cons. On the plus side, the valley is usually as green as it will get, and the water levels throughout the park, from the falls to the Merced River, are running at their highest levels of the year. During years when the High Sierra gets a huge snowpack followed by a rapid warm-up in late May, flooding can occur throughout the park, creating fantastic opportunities for photographers. I made a trip to the park in spring of 2023, and I had never seen water levels that high in the valley in my life. The river had overflowed its banks in several areas, creating new lakes and ponds throughout the valley floor. In addition to the flooded valley floor, relatively unknown waterfalls, which usually flow at a trickle during the spring, can suddenly roar to life, including Ribbon Fall, which runs just to the west of El Capitan, and Sentinel Fall, which drops dramatically down into the valley, rivaling the better-known Yosemite Falls just across the meadow. Just outside the valley are the Cascades, which flow under Highway 120 before plummeting into the canyon far below. And that's not to mention falls like Bridal Veil, Nevada, and Vernal Falls, which may all be flowing well above their normal levels. Another advantage of going in late spring as opposed to early spring would be the fact that wildlife tends to be a bit more active, and it would not be unusual to see a curious bear in one of the meadows.
Yeah, I was hoping there was like something dry you could get further out a little bit, you could see them.
Yeah, it's all wet. Like I went out there this morning and it's just a swamp.
All the way.
Yep. It's just a little hard. Like there's a path for swinging bridge that cuts across this way, but it's still underwater.
Oh yeah, see, he's standing.
Holy cow. He's so light. I've only seen black bears up here. Hey little guy. What's up, buddy? You go that way, okay? You shouldn't come this way. That'd be bad.
It's one of the hazards of coming here on a Saturday in June. The line for that bus at the cutoff at El Cap, at the bridge, 100 yards long. So people are going to be waiting a freaking long time.
The downside of making the trip to the valley in May or June is obviously the crowd levels, which have continued to rise over the past several years. Even with rain in the forecast on an early weekend in June, it can still be hard to find a parking place anywhere in the valley if you arrive after 1 p.m. And the lines for free Yosemite shuttle buses can get extremely long. In order to deal with the massive crowds that begin to arrive in late spring, the National Park Service has made a few changes over the past couple of years. First of all, in 2024, visitors were required to get a reservation to enter the park through the summer months beginning in June. The National Park Service is expected to make similar requirements for this summer. Be sure to check the Yosemite Park website for more information before heading up in late spring or summer. Secondly, the traffic pattern around the park has been altered dramatically over the past few years.
Oh, is it still not? Oh, weird. They reversed it. My brain is blown.
If it's been a while since you have visited Yosemite Valley, you'll notice that the National Park Service has taken out stop signs and made the entire loop around the valley one-way only, which now includes the area to the east of Yosemite Lodge, which, up until very recently, had two-way traffic back to Yosemite Village. There's also a new entrance at the Yosemite Lodge parking area shortly after you pass Cook's Meadow, and you can no longer turn left at the Yosemite Falls crosswalk. The changes also include a traffic circle at the junction from Curry Village to Yosemite Village, and the roadside parking is now gone from the Cook's Meadow area. Lastly, new bathrooms with running water were built in the Bridal Veil parking area to better accommodate the huge crowds that will begin to arrive in late spring and into the summer.
Ruh-roh. Some hailstones. It's really starting to come down.
If winter is my favorite season to shoot in Yosemite, spring would have to be a close second. Of course, when it comes down to it, any time would be a great time to visit Yosemite. But if you're there specifically to take photographs, you'll need to do a bit of planning, and it would be best if you have a bit of flexibility in your schedule, especially during the months of March, April, and May. If you are headed up to the park this spring, be sure to check the Yosemite National Park website for restrictions or possible necessary reservations before heading up. Before ending this look at Yosemite Valley in the spring, here are a few of my photos that I've shot over the years from late March into early June.